Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. Today we're going to be checking out an extremely popular request, Persefone. We have had a couple of requests, quite a few. I tried to fit in as many as I could. We have RT Deads, Joshua Lin, Pengu, Kiwi Slayer, Kiwi5 Slayer, Mitch G, Jason Butler. And we have a couple of different song requests, but Consciousness Part 1 and 2 was requested the most times. I believe it was also, it was a request both times, 2 times. So that's what we're going to end up doing today. And, both people said it was an instrumental masterpiece. I can get behind that. I haven't listened to any instrumental tracks on this channel. Well, no, I take that back because we listened to Animals as Leaders, and that was definitely instrumental. So let's go ahead and get this going. All right, starting out very calm, but full of tension. It's quiet, it's not moving, but it's tense. Almost a little pensive. A little bit of anxiety here. Doesn't really want to go anywhere. Ooh. Reminds me of Tesseract. I think it's the drum work and the bass work that gives me that impression, because the finger picking technique on this is wildly different than Tesseract. It is very technical. I like how they stuck with the acoustic guitars too. With that drum fill, they could have easily went into a distorted sound and been a good transition for that. But they're going to stick with this build-up, and I appreciate that. That repetitious riff just kind of giving a nice backbone to the time. Ooh. I don't know if I'm 100% on that transition, but I'm digging this new section. In that section, I think you could count it in quarters, but I definitely got a 6-beat feel to it. See, I'm getting a 6-beat off of this too. It's kind of gives me more of a waltz feel. I take that back, not a waltz. They've done a real good job building up the intensity to this part. Those gallops on the bass drum, that's insane. Alright, we got some good harmonies going on. I thought we were going to have counterpoint. We ended up with harmony though. Like a 5/8 we're in right now. Some musicianship right there on that guitar. Really good transitions here. Wow, wild time modulations. And now we're just straight up shredding. Interesting blending between, I would say, early metal writing styles and modern metal writing styles. I really like that guitar tone for some reason. It's really fuzzy. I can't say I'm usually a fan of it, but it fits in the song right here. This song plays a lot with tempo. Every section's gotta have its own time feel. Beautiful piano run. If it weren't for the ending of the song, the ending of the metal section, I probably would say that this piano bit was a little bit masturbatory, but I think they just pulled it off. All right, so I don't remember hearing a break at all between part 1 and 2. Like, normally when I see part 1, part 2, when a song is divided into parts, I usually picture them as movements to a larger idea, and there's usually a strong section when you can really separate the two movements. To me, this felt like an entire song that just happens to be called two parts. I don't really see a point where you could say there were two separate sections, unless you want to separate the um, clean beginning, the opening 3 minutes or whatever, from the distorted rest of the song. That would be the only time I really see a divide in the song. Other than that, a lot of the themes and elements of the song exist through both parts of it, throughout the entire idea of consciousness. Um, I don't, I don't know. I'm a little curious to know where the divide happens because, like I said, I don't really hear one. I didn't hear one. Let me put it that way. Um, yeah, that piano bit at the end, really wide arpeggiation, wild stuff. Not so much in the composition. I mean, it is for the most part. It was arpeggiation going through a chord progression. I can't say anything. I can't say it was really too wild from a compositional standpoint, but playing it at that speed and at that range, moving that far up and down the piano, I mean that's impressive stuff. Um, so the song as a whole, though, let me get this guy out of the way. The song as a whole, though, I mean it's a solid piece that starts out extremely gorgeous and ends up going through a few phases that leads it into epic. I think that's the only way I can describe the end. It was an epic song. Apologies for the squeaky chair. Um, yeah, just I really wish I could have paid more attention to the emotion. I started out the reaction talking about the emotion at the beginning, how it was pensive, maybe a little concerned. It didn't really want to go anywhere, but it kind of felt like it needed to, and it was kind of in that limbo. Should I stay? Should I go? But once the electric guitars kicked in and the drum went into ridiculousness, and I don't know if it was a full orchestra or just like a suite of violins, but the orchestral sound that came into the background. I mean, once the soundscape exploded, it there was just constant rhythmic changes, time signature changes, key signature changes. Um, Even the tones of the guitars were shifting every section. There was a lot to take in compositionally that I couldn't really connect with the music, so I was just trying to keep up with what was actually happening, subjectively, what was happening in the music, rather than how I was feeling about it. Which, like I said, it irritates me a little bit because I started out talking about. Oh, I think I said subjective earlier. I meant objective. I started out wanting to go on this journey to see where the music took me, and I ended up just thinking about it very, very right brain. So not a bad thing. I can't really help it. It's a extremely technical song for a first time listen, but I do kind of wish I had stuck on that journey because it went to a lot of cool places. I don't know if there's really anything I can say past amazing. I think I pointed out most of the stuff I wanted to talk about throughout the reaction. Um, the time modulations, the time signature shifts. I mean, that's just, it was all over the place all the time. There was one part where I don't know, every other bar, every other two bars was a different time feel. It was just wild. There was a 5/8 in there. I swear that was 5/8. It was definitely a 5 pulse and it was rather fast. I guess it could be 5/16 depending on the tempo, but um or any sort of, I mean 10/16 if we do 5/8 and then just double time it. Anything, it was definitely a 5 pulse though. Wild. And it wasn't even that long after I was very certain the song was going to stick to a 6 pulse because it did that for, half a minute or so. quite a few bars. It stuck with that six feel, and I just kind of figured that's what most of the song was going to be in, and they were like, nope, we're going to change that up real quick. And then when I finally got adjusted to this new one, they're like, nope, we're going to change that one up real quick. And soon, like I said, they were just shifting. Every other bar was a different time feel. Whether it was just changing from giving emphasis to triplets, to quarters, to changing the tempo, changing the key signature. They were just all over the place. And the musicianship, the mechanical work going into the song increased exponentially with every minute the song was playing. It starts out impressively somber. There's a lot of room for silence. There's a lot of space between notes. Uh, it's something that almost anyone could pick up and play. They might not get the same tone or the same feel, but they could play the notes. By the end of the song, though, it was just pure virtuoso playing by everybody. The keyboardist, the guitarist, the drummer, the uh, if the strings were live, the violinists, just everything was just crazy, crazy good stuff. Uh, yeah. One of the comments said this was a masterpiece, instrumental track, and I don't know if I'm there saying it's a masterpiece yet. I'm very appreciative of the work that went into it, both in the writing and in the playing. I'd have to listen to it a few more times to kind of see where I stand. Like I said, I really want to see about the emotional journey and kind of see what the story of the song tells me. What I get out of that when I can look at it from a non analytical lens. Um, but just on a purely objective point of view, the composition is solid, the musicianship is solid. There's a lot of really cool tricks going on in here. That's just tripping. It tripped me up, all the especially the time, man. I can't get off of that. The time modulation everywhere. Just no section felt the same. Wild stuff. So yeah, that's Persephone consciousness. I noticed that the a couple of the people, like I said, let me know it was an instrumental masterpiece. Is that that they only write instrumentals and this is just their best, or is this an instrumental one-off where they usually have a singer? Let me know. I mean, if this isn't their only instrumental, I'd like to listen to more. But I'm also interested to see if they put a vocalist over this kind of music, or if maybe they dumb it down a little. Not dumb it down. They just make it easier to put another track. Oh, that's something I forgot to talk about. Counterpoint. I was really, really expecting it. I think that is probably the weakest part of this. Is there's so much going on, but almost no counterpoint, and I was really expecting it with this level of composition. It's same caveat as I always say when I talk about this stuff. It isn't a necessity. It doesn't make a song instantly better, but it's just something I kind of assume would happen when you have writing at this level. Uh, I'm used to classical music when you get to composition like this where there's multiple melodies, multiple lead parts. And this song kind of stuck with the idea of one lead part and maybe harmonizing it in a couple of sections. Um, there was a couple of counterpoint ideas going on at the beginning before they went distorted, but as soon as they went to the metal section, any idea of counterpoint was thrown out the window. So, yeah, it's not a bad thing for me. It's a little bit of a blemish. It's something that I would have liked to see, especially given the expertise in the composition. But by no means does it make this a bad song. It doesn't really detract much from it. It's still a wildly good song. So thanks for the recommendation. Those who recommended it, let me know in the comments if you've heard of him before. If you haven't heard of him before, what you thought of this. Are you gonna add this to some sort of playlist? I don't know. That's something cool kids do, right? They got playlists. I don't know. I listen to albums. What about you guys? You listen to full albums, right? I don't have a playlist. If I want to listen to a band. I pull up an album and I listen to it starting from the beginning to the end. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. We're getting way off track. All right, so we got one more band this week, and it's a long one. I'm not gonna give any. I'm not gonna name any names, but it's a 3-part song. It's 17 minutes combined. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. All right, that'll be sometime this week. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. I don't know when this one's coming out. So yeah, yeah. Okay, so it'll be tomorrow. Yeah. All right. So that is that. Like I said, you guys let me know what you guys thought about this in the comments. I guess you can tell me about your musical preferences, whether you're a playlist or an album type of listener. And while you're in the comments, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And I'll be back tomorrow with the final song of this week, a 17-minute epic. You guys stay safe, and we'll see you later.